Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another festive episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special from nowhere to the home of Mr. Kevin Bacon and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson. With me, as always, is Steve Haller. What's up, Steve?
Well, I meant to wear my Christmas hat and whatnot, and just
Why
failed
didn't
miserably.
we should have thought of that.
Yeah, hindsight.
And yet, I called the episode festive, despite us not really doing anything different at all, besides talking about a holiday thing.
Yeah, maybe it's verbally festive.
There you go.
Yeah.
Verbally festive. Perfect way to put it.
We'll be here all night, folks. Try the veal, tip your waitress.
So, for those of you who may not be aware, the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, written and directed by Mr. James Gunn, came out the day after Thanksgiving on Disney+. If you haven't watched it, you should watch it right now and then listen to this podcast, because we're going to talk about all the things that happened in it, which would be spoilers. So, you should watch it. It's only like 45 minutes long.
It's true.
It's really great.
It's a very packed 45 minutes. A lot happens.
It is a packed 45 minutes. Yes. And I remember when this was announced and that James Gunn said, as we talked about last week, James Gunn said that it does a lot to set up Guardians Volume 3. I wasn't sure about that. And then, there's definitely some stuff that they're going to talk about in Volume 3.
Yeah, there's definitely at least two big drops that are like...
At least two big drops. The first, I wonder if we're talking about the same two drops. My two drops. First one, they bought Nowhere from the Collector.
Yeah. Yep.
And that they're like running it or
it's
living
like their
there
home
or
base
something now.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Not really sure what they're doing there. Like, what are they using it for besides living?
Yeah.
Shipping, maybe, I guess, I don't know.
I mean, it seemed like there was a lot of ancillary support staff, enough to have a band just sitting there.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, and they must need a support staff because I gotta say, I love these characters, but they don't seem like people that could run a successful business.
No,
necessarily.
No, not particularly.
Yeah. So yeah, the gang's all there. We get Star-Lord, we get Nebula, we get Mantis, we get Drax, we get Rocket, we get Groot. And right off the top, I'm gonna say this: Groot looked awesome. Like, the CGI on Groot.
Okay, fire away.
I thought he looked great. You didn't think the CGI was good for him?
I thought he looked awkward as hell.
Really? Oh man.
I don't know if he skipped head day or something, but like,
I
think the CGI was great. It was seamless.
It
was great. The design of him threw me for a real loop.
Yeah.
It was like his head was like this little tiny.
I saw James Gunn say that they refer to him as Swole Groot.
I could see that.
Because he's like bigger. But also keep in mind, and I don't mean to be blowing your mind if this is something that you didn't know. But James Gunn has confirmed multiple times that when Groot sacrifices himself in the first Guardians movie, he dies.
Right.
And that the one that is grown from his dick or whatever is like his son, is like a different
a new Groot. Yep.
Is a new Groot. So it makes sense that he's not going to look. This one clearly is like a little buffer or thicker,
Oh yeah,
so he's not going to look exactly like
Groot. Yeah.
Original one.
Swole Groot is definitely it's an appropriate moniker for him.
I agree. So yeah, no, the design was different. I kind of like I like the design too. I thought that was fine. A part of me thought, are they designing him like this so that they can build a practical suit out of it to have him appear at like Avengers campus in Disney World or whatever, Disneyland or something?
Yeah.
I don't know why that was my first thought. No, it wasn't my first thought. My first thought was the CGI in him is great and he looks practical. He looks like a practical effect, but I looked it up. It was confirmed that he was rendered in CGI.
Yeah. No, and I guess, that's a very big differentiation. The CGI work was phenomenal. The appearance of him and design was what threw me for a loop.
Yeah. And also we got Kraglin as an official member of the Guardians now, using
Yondu's.
What's his face? Yondu's mohawk.
Yep.
As we saw in the post-credit scene from Guardians 2.
Which he very aptly explained in this.
Yeah, very quickly to a more or less, I mean, out of the loop, putting things lightly. He explained it to an out of the loop Kevin Bacon, who appears as himself in this, as we know from the trailers. But I gotta say, was in it much more than I expected him to be. I thought it was going to be a shortish cameo, and he's in this thing.
Oh yeah, no, he's
big time.
Yeah, he's there. And seems like seems like he's having a damn good time too.
Oh,
he didn't phone this in. It was he was having fun.
Agreed. So yeah, the main plot of the show is that. Oh, sorry. The other big second piece of information we got off track. The first big reveal that sets up Guardians Volume 3 that they own nowhere. For me, the second big reveal that sets up something I'm sure they'll mention in Volume 3 is that Star-Lord and Mantis are
half siblings.
Half siblings, yes. Yeah. I wanted to say step sibling. I knew that wasn't right, so thank you. Yeah, they're half brother and sister.
Yeah.
Which makes, and at first when they like mentioned it super casually between like her and Drax, when they're just talking about it, Drax is like, "That you're his sister," that kind of, and I was like, "Whoa, wait, am I supposed to know that already?" Because the way I was like, "Oh, but no, okay, they haven't told anybody." And I feel like that's definitely something that they're going to reference at least.
Yeah, there's got to be something that plays out on that.
Yeah, was that the same too?
Yes,
pieces
100%.
of information that you had. Yeah. So yeah, the main driver of this is that Kraglin tells a story to Mantis and Drax about how when Peter was a kid, recently abducted by the Ravagers, he tried to celebrate Christmas, and Yondu squashed it and told him to forget about it or whatever, and ruined it for him. And they want to give him a good Christmas, even though they don't understand what Christmas is. There's a whole song played by a band on Nowhere, which is the actual band, the old 97s, in alien makeup. That song was co-written by the old 97s and James Gunn.
Oh, that's great. I did not realize that. That's amazing.
Yep. Similar to all Guardians movies, all James Gunn recent movies, superhero movies, including Suicide Squad, this special has a great soundtrack.
So the song, just to roll back to it, if you want to look the song up, if you haven't heard it, or if you need to hear it again, I don't know what Christmas is, parentheses, but Christmas time is here. Yeah. And the lyrical content is exactly that. And it's utterly amazing.
It's really funny. Also, shout out to one of my favorite bands of all time, Fountains of Wayne, that have their Christmas song, I Want an Alien for Christmas, in this special, which I think I was very excited when I heard that pop up. But anyway, yeah, so that's the actual band, the old 97s, performing that song for Star-Lord. And then Mantis and Drax come up with a plan. As we know from the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, Star-Lord talks about how much he loves Kevin Bacon and describes him as a hero of Earth. Star-Lord, full well knowing that he's describing movies to these people, but these people think that he's actually talking about real heroes of Earth. They go to Earth to try to take Kevin Bacon so they can give him to Star-Lord as a Christmas present, and hilarity ensues when you have two people that do not understand earthly customs of any kind trying to kidnap a celebrity and bring him into outer space to give him to a person.
And I mean, the hijinks start right from the beginning as soon as they arrive on Earth. Like, they show up and Mantis looks at Drax. "You forgot to put the cloaking device on, didn't you?" "No, I didn't." Yeah,
that was really funny. People like, just terrified that there's an alien spacecraft landing.
It's like, oh, no, I did not. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah. I gotta say, I'm not a huge, I like it, I don't love it, fan. I'm not a huge fan of Guardians Volume 2. I think it's okay. I think it's fine. I know people that love it. I know people that hate it. I'm just kind of right in the middle. It doesn't super work for me all the time. There's some great stuff in it, though.
Yep.
And one of the things that I did like about it was the character of Mantis being introduced, because I thought she was cool and she was like a new kind of power or whatever, new power set. And I liked her design. I thought she looked great. But in this special, you really like get to know her a lot more. You get to kind of understand her a lot more. Like she really kind of comes into her own. That character of Mantis really comes into her own in this special. I feel like because you spend more time with her. I feel like you almost spend as much or more time with her in this 40-minute special than you do in a 2-hour Guardians of the Galaxy movie with Volume 2. And just like her, because her and Drax have a little bit of a bond in Volume 2, so it makes sense the two of them would kind of team up or still be friendly in this iteration. I just thought she was hilarious. I thought she was super funny. I really loved her character, and it made me really excited to see more of her in Volume 3 when that comes out this summer.
And her interplay with Drax was great. Like the combo worked well. And initially going into it, I was like, how's this gonna fly? And they nailed it.
Yeah. And I wonder why. I mean, I guess you picked those two characters because the makeup is cheaper than doing CGI. If it's it's not like, and it's, I don't know. Like if I was trying to think of like what's the other pair of characters that could have gone to Earth?
Right, Gamora's not an option. Nebula definitely
Gamora's not
isn't
around.
Work.
It can't be Star-Lord because he's the one that's going to get the present, right? So it's like Rocket and Groot, but are you going to pay Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel to do that much voiceover and
then also pay for the CGI?
Yeah, you're going to use that much CGI in a 40-minute special when you can just use like mostly practical makeup on these two actors.
Right, like Dave Bautista and Pom Clemente are good, top-notch actors. However, Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel are probably garnering a little bit more of a paycheck.
Yeah, for just Vin Diesel to say "I am Groot" 50 times or whatever. You don't necessarily want to deal with that. And it still makes sense, and it makes sense for her, being an empath and being able to control somebody to make Kevin Bacon suddenly want to go to space. That makes a lot of sense.
Which we saw her power set used more than ever in this movie.
Yeah, it was great. Gotta throw some love on the sequence in which they steal Christmas decorations and Drax loves his funny little man. Which is an elf. Like, so funny that he just loves that elf so much.
Well, and then Mantis stealing the candy cane.
Yeah.
Who she also thinks, or Drax called a man.
A man.
And then you have the callback later after Drax flips the police car and she asks them, does this look like a man to you?
This does look like a man
As they're hanging upside down in their cars, completely freaking out.
Yeah,
does this look like a man to you? No, it doesn't.
This holiday special made me miss the Guardians of the Galaxy like a lot. And it made, because we haven't seen them in James Gunn's hands since Volume 2.
Right.
And I mean, they were in Infinity War, they're in Endgame, but they're not written and they're not directed by James Gunn. And this felt
And they were in Love and Thunder, but very briefly.
Yeah, and you're right. They're in Love and Thunder, but again, not written and not directed by James Gunn. And this felt so much better to me. It felt more like Volumes 1 and 2. It felt right. Like I wasn't even, I know there's like stuff that's come out about Chris Pratt in the last couple of years that has made me like kind of not love that guy. But like, I feel like I didn't think about all that stuff once because I was just like, oh, that's Star-Lord. Like I just connected to him quicker than I did in even Love and Thunder that I just saw recently.
You're right. Like, it very much felt like Peter Quill, not Chris Pratt playing Peter Quill.
Yeah, something about James Gunn's control of these characters. Like, he's the one that introduced them to us in the first movie. He's the one that has shepherded them through. I think he even wrote some of their dialogue in Infinity War and possibly Endgame.
I know he was consulted by Taika quite a bit for whatever they did in Love and Thunder.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Just something about the direction and the writing on this made it feel like, oh yeah, this is the tone that fits these characters.
Even from the jump, you get that like that elf animated intro.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like with Fairy Tale of New York playing over it. And I'm just like, I'm sold. Yeah. Like pose off the bat. I'm good to go. Like,
yep. And I did love, speaking of the animation, I love the flashback being utilized as a way to get to hear Michael Rooker as Yondu.
Yep.
Again. Like that was great. And have to do it in like a bad looking on purpose way that kind of shouts out, like, I saw James Gunn on Twitter said he wanted to do something that was that referenced like the Star Wars holiday special.
Yeah.
And he wanted to use like multiple, like there's an animated segment in the Star Wars holiday special, he wanted to do
there
that.
is.
Yeah, exactly. But he wanted to do something similar, and I don't know. I think he crushed it. I think this was super fun and funny.
There was no Boba Fett riding a dinosaur in this, but it got close.
No, it did get close. Something that Kevin Bacon does while he's flying back to nowhere with Drax and Mantis, he makes it clear that DC Comics exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe by referencing both Batman and Bruce Wayne when they say that he has to pretend to be a hero.
Yep.
So that's interesting, that while these Marvel characters are flying around, kids at home are reading Batman comics and watching Batman movies,
right?
Assumedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was the other thing you referenced? Oh, like all of his movies, like Footloose and Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, yeah, exactly. Those all exist. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
You slayed Jason Voorhees. Well, technically I didn't. And it was a character I played, but
I love that suddenly there was MCU characters talking about Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. He actually got stabbed through the neck with an arrow. I was like, wow, I love this so much.
I would have appreciated a Tremors reference, but what are you gonna do?
Oh, sure. You can't get them all. You can't win them all. But yeah, this was great. I really like, and then he performed, and this is a hilarious, cheesy as hell, but like totally perfect moment where he's on the phone with his wife, who I assume was actually Kira Sedgwick, that they got to do his wife's voice. This is Kevin Bacon saying, "Is it okay if I'm a little late? I have some friends here that need to learn about Christmas." That was like so cheesy, but like perfect for like some kind of holiday special, like lesson moment, whatever. Like, I'm gonna have to. Sorry, honey, I'm just gonna be late because the spirit of Christmas is too big of an important thing that I have to do. That was just really funny.
And then proceeds to rock it with the old 97s.
Yeah,
and it's like,
which again, I was like, this is perfect because he's in a band in real life. He's in the Bacon. Him and his brother have a band, so it makes sense canonically that he would be able to write a song or sing a song about it.
I can say this did add a couple of songs to my Christmas repertoire, because I did not ever realize the Smashing Pumpkins put out a Christmas song.
Yep.
And I was sitting there, I'm like, I'm listening, and I'm like, that's Billy Corgan. That's definitely Billy Corgan. Okay, it actually is. Yeah.
I have to I've got to relook at that soundtrack, because there's definitely Christmas songs that I either knew already, I had never heard before, or I had heard before but need to add them to my Christmas playlist. So I'm going to have to take a look at that soundtrack and make sure that I have all those again, because classic James Gunn, great soundtrack to this. So I think the biggest Easter egg or callback that I certainly appreciated, and I saved it for last specifically. There's a segment at the end when Kevin Bacon's singing his song about Christmas. They're all giving each other gifts. And what does Nebula give to Rocket but Bucky's arm?
Which
Rocket made many references to wanting to buy, to steal in Infinity War, I believe. I'm getting that arm. As we know, Rocket loves to steal prosthetic limbs and prosthetic body parts from people. Getting a payoff to that great bit in Infinity War, I thought was really fun to see this.
Yeah, and you wonder how that happened, and I doubt we'll ever get that paid off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it wasn't his original one; it was like the blue and gold one that he had for a little bit, right? I don't really remember.
It was an all silver one.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it was my TV or something. I thought it was like blue. Maybe it was like the lights reflecting on it. I thought it was a different color. So.
Yeah, either way, that's
cool.
It was one of those where it was like, okay, I did not expect to see that here.
Yeah. Man, it was cool. I wish Nebula had a bigger role in it, because I just love that. I love her character, and she was so good in like Infinity War and Endgame, and in Guardians 2. I think she was incredible in Guardians 2 as well. So like, it it's cool seeing her back again. And part of me was like, wow, how did they get all these characters, these actors back? And I was like, well, one, they signed contracts, and two, they shot this while they were filming Volume 3. So like everyone was there, everyone was around.
They took like a 30-second timeout, went and filmed this, and then came back.
Yeah,
to it.
exactly. Yeah. So, anyway, I think that's all I got about the Guardians special. We're talking about it for a long time. We have another episode of a show to do.
We do
after this. So
it does. The other thing, the closing animation, we find out that Yondu actually, in standard Yondu fashion, showed himself as a hard ass and then proceeded to, melt at the thought of getting a gift and gave Quill his blasters.
His blasters, yeah. I thought that was cool.
Yep.
And it makes me want to go back and rewatch the Guardians movies to see if that little gremlin doll or whatever.
Oh, yeah, it was actually on the Ravager ship there.
It was on the console there, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I thought that was great and touching, and another great way to use the Yondu character and to bring back Michael Rooker. And it'll be interesting to see if I think Michael Rooker has been in every movie that James Gunn has ever made.
Really?
I think so. In either a small or varying size role.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see if they weave him into the third one, either through a flashback or some other means. I can't imagine that they wouldn't at least try to get something in there. So we'll have to see.
Was he ever in the Peacemaker stuff, or just the feature length?
He's in Suicide Squad. I don't know if he's in Peacemaker. I don't think he's in Peacemaker, but he's in Suicide Squad. He's
Suicide Squad?
One of the guys that dies in the first.
Okay.
In
the
Savant
montage thing?
is his name. Yeah, he's like got the long hair. He's like.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I gotcha.
He first rescues Weasel from drowning and then ends up saying F this and swims away and his head explodes. He's the one that Amanda Waller uses the thing on in the beginning. Yeah. I love that movie.
God.
So much.
That was such a good movie.
I gotta watch that again.
I was just thinking that. I'm like, it's been too while. Been too while.
Been too while.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that movie. Anyway, that's all I got. So you should watch the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. I mean, if you're into the Marvel stuff, I'm sure you already know about it. But you should check it out if you haven't yet, because it's great. And it's perfect for this time of year as we move into the holiday season. So
absolutely.
Yeah, check it out.
So, yeah, check that out. And if you're watching this on Twitch, check us out in another 5 minutes or so, and we'll start up our regular pod. If you're not, then leave us a review on whatever you're listening to us on, and maybe leave some comments if you want to talk to us. There on the socials, it's Multiverse Report, Multiverse RPT on Twitter. Beyond that, check out themultiverse.com, and we'll catch you around.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Until next time, we'll see you in the multiverse.